The sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. To date, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on week start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
She hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small, confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of my main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there. But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just... Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. You don't have the time, like you have one day left, almost. I hope the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us have gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. No. Wait. I was thinking, what is there? They have a pretty good relationship. Maybe it was a specific option I did once. It caused that? Oh well. Too bad. Even G appears to understand it. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, seizable? He likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even know. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other shy like demeanor, it's a friendship they both cherish in their own way. Oh jeez, the music is so intense here. Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in the almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. I can't speak for Isabella, I rarely ever see her seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. Oh, so he can, like, get... So that can happen between them? Interesting. The way she's glaring up at the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on one corner of the table they occupy. A conversation that turns sour sometime after a late lunch then. Good thing they're already done and nothing's left to be spilled. There's a little bit there. Okay. Jeez. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily. We both do. Though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this let a ghost everything.
You're blaming me again?
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you! If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
I'm the one who's selfish. Yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry. This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
Whoa.
You know why I had to come here. My dad.
Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca had slammed the flat of her hand on the table, or a second I'd entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. I couldn't... Because of a choice I did that happened? Aw, I feel bad. What did I do wrong? When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. Lara insisted on going back to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, harsh words had already been said. Words were more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aiming at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence, while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Despite the lack of words between them, they are both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break, until the ones at its center does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there has always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it's what has gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she has also but she also knows when to withdraw when the struggle turns useless. A kind of awareness almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps, away from the hurt and painful words they had left fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment, and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steadying grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. Oh no. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. But I mean, we are already on Isabella's side. I mean, he already is because he wants to go to the mansion as well. So it's kind of off character to agree with Rebecca. But maybe agreeing with Rebecca is what's going to keep them alive. But we gotta say Marianne, though. And we gotta figure it out. So, I mean, I'm just gonna take Isabella's side. Because the mansion. Hello. Here we go.
You okay?
I'm sorry. I feel bad. Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes away my hand and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arm in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I don't say anything, not until she's the one willing to talk. Another minute passes while we stare at each other down. But eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point. But please be a little more thoughtful next time. Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least it's how it seems when a minute or two passes, and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. She looks so cunning, like that smirk. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, when it quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted and was inedible. So much has changed throughout the years, we will never be the same persons we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended and the main launch. Once I return, G's nowhere to be seen. People continue to trickle out instead of in, and by the time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon these people too will be gone, and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with the soothing strum of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. a far cry from times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room, in one of the tables set right beside the windows. She usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy street outside. The late afternoon light spills right through it, outlining her small form and pulling on the surface of the table where both her arms rest. In her hands, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it. Yet, there is something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones. The ones where she's too still, too quiet, a complete opposite of our usual self. But it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, when the softest of sighs and the slightest movements sing louder. The smallest, minuscule things to tell you about the person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory, no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, wherever truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset, maybe? Who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other people I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk may just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She leaves a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive enough to drain every color out of the room. It's as if we just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now? She needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best, like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon, those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short, free will responses and banter that never goes so anywhere. But it's enough, in the grand scheme of things. Amidst the chaos and Dab shouting over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter, when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause, and then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually settling on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away, perhaps in her best attempt to stay angry. Aww. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter which she is trying to contain.
You're awful, and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon, I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care until only familiar warmth lingers. Once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow, with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but that's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? God, crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glare doesn't even wane. In fact, I think it intensified like the brewing storm. Her breathing, like you can just tell she's pissed. I love the animation in this game. In the face of it, and the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should.
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of it in a voice too small, too quiet. But when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into silence above us. Instead, it's the meaning behind her gaze, as she holds mine, that lingers. Steady, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then. Obvious it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve, how she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us. Trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early or because there's never really a proper time. For now, though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we've set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
The corners of her mouth quirks up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
You're one of the few people she likes. She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes. In an instant, the pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale. Her knuckles are visibly pale.
I know, Ash.
What?
I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there, so maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. It's the only lead we have, after all. Yes, go together, die together. No. Let's not do a Romeo and Juliet thing out of this, shall we? Let's not do that. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with, no matter how desperate I am. It's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there? If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'd be in even greater danger. Hence, alone. Exactly as I've told Zack. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. I kind of get this feeling that if I had like full on Isabella or full on Zachary, one of them would have followed with him, right? I kind of get that feeling that that it would only happen if it was like full. So I effed stuff up. Maybe all three of them could have gone together too. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much. Despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. No.
I can't let you do that, Belle.
Woohoo!
Ash, the people living in that place now. They were with me during the open house. They have to know. They're in as much trouble as we are.
I know, but it's risky. It's dangerous. We don't know what you might find in there. Or if you'll even find anything. What if you see her again? What if she goes after you? What are you going to do? For all we know, it might be a dead end. It's not worth it to put yourself in harm's way like that.
She offers no response, not even a form of resistance, no further argument like I've come to expect from her. Uncharacteristic. Just a silence that stretches far too thin till the air in the whole room grows heavy. In front of her, her hand still stays curled up, like it's holding on to everything she wishes to say but can't. I like to think that, yes, to some extent, she understands, and if she does not entirely agree with me, the dilemma is clear in her. Otherwise, her scowl wouldn't have a deeper set to it, her lips wouldn't be pressed in a thin line, her hand would no longer be balled into fists. She would have pushed that argument. If she doesn't, and I know she has no lack of things to say. Instead, she simply offered a nod, an acquiesce, and in a moment of boldness, perhaps insolence, I reach out for her, taking her clenched fists in mine and drawing them closer to me. She sucks in a breath, soft and sharp, but doesn't say anything, merely watching as both my hands cradle hers. Cautious, mindful, as if it's the most precious thing I've held. Then again, maybe it is, along with everything I've yet to convey.
Stop that.
The music changed, guys. Surprisingly, although the gesture she has startled her, she yields. Unless a touch that is far too familiar and more than what I'm willing to give most.
You're going to hurt yourself if you keep doing that.
Gently, I unfurl her fingers, flattening out each digit against my palms. Her nails have already created small dents on her skin from how tightly she has held it closed. A little more and she would have drawn blood. Deep as it is, smoothing a thumb over the tiny marks does nothing. But it's a small gesture we both find comfort in amidst this chaos, and all at once the tension lifts. Her expression softens, the lines of her shoulders ease, and it is only after her lips curve up in a faint smile that I let go, giving her hand one last squeeze before I return it to her. part of me wants to tell her, admit that it's exactly what I'm planning tonight. What good would it do, though? I've already told Zach, one person is enough. Shoot! Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing it too much would just cause another pointless concern. She's going to be so upset when she finds out later that he didn't tell her. There's going to be an argument. Oh well. Someone has to be aware, at least aware I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out, except the worst. And if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place, in my own words, risky. It's best that I simply leave it as it is for now. Isabella doesn't need to be burdened with the worry my entire scheme entails. I stand up as soon as footsteps shuffle from the next room. It's cadence, slow, and hesitant. Shortly, Rebecca comes into view, clenching her hands firmly in front of her and sporting the same uncertainty in her face. She casts me a cursory look, then shifts the nervous one to Isabella, who studies her with an almost hopeful gleam in her eyes. Their fights never did last long.
Belle, can we talk alone?
Her interruption could not have come sooner, and I'm all the more glad for it. Whatever kind of friendship I share with the two, this remains something for only the two of them, much like my own with Zach. I'm the outsider. They don't need me here. It's all the reason I need. Muttering an excuse and flashing Spell a quick knowing smile, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave them to mend things on their own. Aw, haha, so sweet. After scolding Rebecca for her harsh tone, a concerned Ashton followed after Isabella. He found her alone in a corner of the lounge, upset. Despite agreeing with her, he gently explained why going back wouldn't be a good idea. Thankfully, she eventually acquiesced. Before Isabella can say what she's been mulling over, for a less imploring glance she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory. One that spurs the conscience, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I have chosen for myself tonight. Good luck with that, dude.